So welcome back. And so today I want to talk about some remedies to those 8 typical transitional phases that our teens typically go through. And if you have not gone through your teen years, get ready, because they're going to come. Everyone exhibits some. Actually, everybody exhibits every one of them, except that the severity and the symptom, or the action and the behavior and the thought patterns, are unique to each individual person. And so let me tell you a little bit more about myself. I'm going to give you some actual remedies. I am Scandinavian by bloodline. And a lot of people know my great 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 grandfather, which is Eric Thorson, which is Eric Erickson, Eric the Red. But if anybody knows a lot about the Scandinavian clans, is we all pass down from our legacies to the next generation, are healing. So usually the feminine can also have a rite of passage, advocating, now fighting, but then they also have strong convictions in their in our family lineage of spirituality, spiritual healing, rituals, passages, but we have this really drive to learn about other people's and what drives them and their culture is defined by their religion and their spirituality. So we learn a lot about everything and all the cultures. And so I am trained specifically in theologies of the world and cultures, but that is just kind of ingrained in my Scandinavian clan lineage. We like to travel. We're seafarers and we travel. So part of that is I incorporate the natural elements, because I actually believe everybody can heal themselves. But I don't even know if you really need healing or if you just need some support. So the 8 traditional transitional phases that typical humans go through between puberty and by the time our skulls fully seal, around 25. Sometimes it's around 23, 22. It depends. Each person is unique. So we'll go back to the 8 skills. And so the 8 transitional phases. First one was moodiness. Remember, it's mood. They are a little conflictual, too. 3, they can be very doodling, phased out. 4, kind of like seeking stimulus, excitability, arousals, which could actually do a lot of more experimentation with drugs, alcohol, sex, which is really typical for reproduction and stuff. But then they're driving to find this adrenaline. And that's the next phase, is also suicide seeking, adrenaline for finding, and so there's a lot of things that you could do to kind of curb and support. But then there's also this argumentativeness that comes from it, and this disagreeableness, but then this also defiant and disrespect. So those are all kind of lying in there, and of course, if you want to, I'd ask you to go back to the videos and you could see all 8, and then some of the typical behaviors and mannerisms of those, but then also some things that you can do to help support. But here it is. This is simple. It is such a simple remedy, is you need to get outside. This is it. Vitamin D. Every doctor will tell you this. And you don't even need to go doctor. Go outside and spend some time in nice weather. And that's why I'm out here in the forest, because number one, this is it. You get to breathe some fresh oxygen. Trees produce oxygen. Carbon dioxide, they breathe in carbon dioxide, so they incorporate carbon dioxide through their whole leaves, through the roots, and we breathe out carbon dioxide. So then they recycle it from the sun. So it's nice that the sun does that, and then they produce a whole bunch of oxygen, so you're getting fresh oxygen. Okay, so oxygen is needed for our brains, for our cellular levels. And if you want to do that, I'm going to do another video on separations of certain skills, especially when it comes to drugs experimentation and that excitability arousals, because there's a lot of natural remedies that can help for that. And so often people shift to going, I'm outside with my dog. See, she needs to work out too. And a flea touched her, or a fly. I don't know, probably a fly. But so then you do that. Well, and also, if you can't go outside and you don't like outside, or allergies or whatever, there's a treadmill. There's a bike, stationary bikes. then of course, and that's to give the exercise ability, but it also produces a dopamine. Okay, so dopamine is a happy hormone that our brain normally does a lot of, and you can see some of the drug experimentation is to raise that. But you know what? In actuality, when you build a cardio, you're building adrenaline, but it's a different type. It's a dopamine adrenaline, if you know what I'm saying. And if not, let's go. Go research. So you do exercise, it raises up your happy hormone, which deals with the moodiness. All right. And then you get the moodiness goes away, then you're not as disrespectful, you're a little bit more open to open to dialogue. Now here's where the dialogues are, is often that is a time when you go out as a family. So go for hikes, go for walks, talk as a campfire. Sometimes that is great because you have a fire, so you have the warmth, but there's an energy that comes from a fire. So go outside even at night under the moon, and have a campfire and open up a dialogue and make sure that it's open. So there's the second remedy is open dialogue. What is your thoughts? And there's no wrong answer. So make sure that when you do it, there's no wrong answer. I've created in my own house, and it's called the quiet room. And so the quiet room is for those times that we can't go outside, but it's not for everybody to not speak. It means that when you speak, you be quiet and listen when somebody else is speaking. It's the quiet room for a reason. If you're not the speaker, you don't talk. You listen. And then when it's your turn to talk, you translate what you thought you heard. And there is no yelling. There is no judgment. There is no right or wrong directives when it comes to that. So make your fire outside the same way. Treadmill, bicycle, even yoga. Yoga is a breathing, but there's also a stretch that comes with yoga. Pilates, those are all exercises that increase dopamine, reduces your moodiness. It has you open to dialogue because you're not as disrespectful. You're a little bit more happier. You're a little bit more flowing, so your energy goes a little bit differently. So here, let's go to the drugs and the risky behaviors, suicidal ideations, the depression. And a lot of times they're seeking to raise their dopamine or their serotonin. And serotonin is kind of like, we've always learned in school, but my own family is serotonin is another mood stabilizer. So it's not an increased happy, like dopamine would be more of like I'm floating on air. But serotonin is more of like a, hey dude, what's up? Hi. Okay. I got it. You're upset. So it's kind of like a slow dance. So when you want to do that, that actually comes from water. So you have to drink. So it is stimulated by your stomach, believe it or not. So your intestines kind of ask your brain to, can you increase the serotonin? Because I need a certain chemical. So that is based on our mood. So food could be very, very, very crucial at this point. So regulate what you eat. A lot of processed food is not real. It's scientifically created. So it's not natural. Your body takes longer to process it, and it can actually tire it out, which makes it more moody. So be careful and be cautious of what you eat. So there is another natural thing. Costs really nothing more than what you do when you buy food, but it's a normal, natural thing. And this is something that we would be in our clan would increase and make sure. And I very cautious in my house. I don't eat a lot of fructose and not a lot of unnatural sugars. Berries, a lot of berries. And if you can see, I'm outside and there's a lot of blackberries, so we'll be blackberry picking in here in just a few minutes. And blackberry tea is amazing. So tea is another way. So chamomile is another way to help mood stabilize. There's a lot of berry teas. Acacia is another one. Ashwagandha is a nice herb that you could use as well. And that's what you would use in a tea, but also you could use, it's kind of expensive, but you can, as a powder. Beetroot is another one because that can increase some serotonin in your belly because it helps process it, but it also reduces some calories and gives you some extra there's prebiotics. So your greens are your prebiotics and your probiotics are for your stomach. So if you have irritable bowel issues, it could be that you don't have enough which is your dark greens. And you can ask your doctor or your nutritionist about that exact same thing. So that's would be kind of what we would ask. Beetroot and spinach, kale, some of those dark greens to actually help with the stomach issues if you have probiotic issues. And then the exercise. But here's another thing is then we come back with the disrespect and then they wanting to do it their way. So then they become argumentative. So here's the big recipe. And this is like something that my client does all the time. And it is probably, when I was growing up, one of the most confusing times for me as a teen, because it's like I want the fight, but that's also probably because I'm Viking, so we kind of like to do the arguments. But when they start to argue, just say, maybe think of a better argument and propose how I should agree with you, and all the things that could possibly be a barrier to that, and then how I can help support you if those barriers do come, as long as they're not illegal and they're not going to get you hurt or anybody else hurt, because that's our motto. Do as you will, as long as it doesn't hurt yourself or anyone else in the future either. So if you do now and it's not going to hurt you immediately, but it could your children's children later, then that would still be considering hurting your lineage, and we wouldn't do that. So right here, space. Just allow space. Separate. Sometimes it takes days. If it goes any longer than days, I'd probably go, hey, can we go back to the quiet room or the fireplace? Let's sit down, because my anxiety is coming up, and I'm feeling like we're forgetting the reasons why we had this disagreement, and that you feel that what I've done is not in alignment with you. And so I will do another one. So those are the easiest remedies. That is pretty much will cover all 8 of them. If you can approach it that way before the disastrous comes, like drug abuse and suicidal ideation and depression, if you can reach in before they actually start doing some of those experiments, and sometimes they do experiment, and sometimes doctors are quick to give you a med. Here, they're doodling, they're phasing out. Well, they're phasing out because they're thinking. They're thinking, and thinking's best. So what do? We give them space, or we give them the fire. Come to the fire. Let's sit. Let's talk. Let's have a powwow, right? And so there's a lot of those social interactions that we can orchestrate as the adults, as the parent, but as a school. And schools try to do it, but it's not as accurate as a parent, because a parent is different. You're linked to them. And so then you can have that conversation of, hey, come on. And then also you can pass on your legacy. Like mine is my clan and my family. And these are the rite of passages that we do. These are things that I would like you to pass to your own children, but I have to argue those to them to keep them. And that comes from their values and their morals. And those morals have to be ingrained from birth. So there goes the attachment. Attachment has to start way back down. And if you find that your children are finding different ways to be, and it goes all the way back down to if we're talking Christianity, or Judaism or Islam, we're passing the legacy, and the legacy is grounded in your culture, and your culture is grounded in who you believe created you and your people, and what they deem as a no-go, as embracing you as a human and those around you. That is what your internal morals will dictate. And your internal morals are something that you can really, really, really have a hard time removing, because those have been conditioned since you were born from your culture, from those around you. And you will question everyone on those eternal morals from your beginning attachment. So if you don't have an organized or a secure attachment, you will be floundering until you find one and you find out who you are. So teens are at this point, are finding out who they are, which is normal, and they usually will come back. And this is why a lot of the times you will have the Amish, they will let them go at the end of their teen years, 16, 17, 18. And if they come back, which most of them do, it's because it's ingrained in them. All right. So 4 simple things: exercise, nutrition, come around the fire, let's have some conversations, and education. Be your family. Till next time. Love each other.